afternoon, everyone. Respected seniors, colleagues, friends, and students. So I'm presenting on behalf of Dr. Garge. But we have been working on this project together, so I'm a bit familiar with the site as well. And some people in the audience also have worked at the site and visited the site. I'm giving a general overview of the project. So the main motivation of the project, we have laterite engravings, as you saw earlier today. We inaugurated the new wing. So we have a kind of a connection and disconnection between various histories. So the prehistoric evidence is very, very vague and ambiguous in Konkan region. Some sites have been excavated, some sites have been reported, but we don't know the relationships, chronological relationships, cultural relationships. So one motivation is because of proximity to the engravings, if there's any relationship between cave occupation and the petroglyphs. And also the need to find habitation sites. Konkan region is notorious for not preserving habitation sites. And it could be a geological issue, but again, it's very preliminary and we're just investigating it now. So the cave deposits are at least 2 meters thick maximum, or maybe even more than that. So we have some record. And it's also to fill a technochronological gap between lower Paleolithic sites such as Susrondi and early historical evidence in Konkan. So filling a chronological gap. And to pinpoint the earliest arrival of prehistoric Homo sapiens and subsequent transitions in the region. So the Mycolithic archaeology is now extending to almost 50,000 years in central India and Sri Lanka. And how does the Konkan play a role in the expansion and adaptation of this technology? So here is the location of Konkan. And these areas you see here, in color, we have Ganga Plains, Konkan Zone, Kerala, extreme South India, Sri Lanka, Northeast India. These areas do not have prominent Paleolithic evidence, and we are not sure why. One is lack of surveys, one is too much vegetation. In Northeast India, you have very high rainfall. So there's various factors why the sites are absent. In Ganga Valley, we have absence of rocks. So maybe the sites are deeply buried in the alluvium, or the humans did not penetrate this zone. Here's another map of the site of Koloshi, and the location according to administrative boundaries. And then the key features of the site, basically, it's about 40 meters long, 25 meters wide, and 13 meters high. It has multiple chambers based within lateritic bedrock. It is partially collapsed mouth, and also part of the ceiling has collapsed. And we're trying to figure out when this has happened. Because the ceiling is also another source of sediments coming in and depositing things and creating layers. The sediments include weathered laterite, calcite, bauxite, colluvium, and bat guano. There's also evidence of bioturbation, especially rodents, for example, ants, termites. And then we have diverse lithic assemblage, macrolithic and mycolithic, which I'll talk about later. And then presence of some pottery sherds on the surface. We have not found any pottery in the stratified context, I think. Most is coming from surface context, a few fragments, but not very diagnostic material. And we have stray fauna elements, again on the surface, nothing in the excavations. And then we have charcoal fragments in the excavations. Here is the view of the site from different perspectives. And this is the landscape around the site. So it's on a plateau, surrounded by hills and patchy forest areas. In the bottom right, you have the entrance of the cave. And then this is the view behind the cave, on top of the hill. And this is the opening of the cave in the ceiling. So this is where a lot of the material is also falling in and getting deposited in the layers. Here we have the view of the cave from the entrance, and a close-up of the laterite on the bottom left. And on the bottom right, we have the modern mammalian tooth in the cave. Again, this could be probably a result of scavengers on the landscape or predators. We don't see any connection between the archaeology and the bones at the moment. Here is a plan of excavations that were carried out. And I would like to highlight that the excavations are not completed. They're still ongoing. We need at least 1 more or 2 more seasons to complete the excavations. This is just a rough sketch of what we are intended to do. And here's a plan of the grid where surface collections were made, topographic mapping was done, and surface sampling was also done before excavations took place. And this is a very small cave, with 40 meters by 20 meters. So we also have to be careful about not excavating too much. We want to preserve it for long term, for future scientists, for future interested public. So we have to be very selective in where we excavate, how much we excavate, and how much we disturb the layers. Here's the photographs of excavations in action. And we did a lot of sieving using the wire screen, but we did not find any bone fragments. Everything we found was stone tools, natural fragments of laterite, for example, falling from the ceiling, and we found a lot of debitage of the artifacts. Just to give you a rough idea, one of the audience members, Mihir Tangsale, has been working on the lithics, and from his compilation of just one trench area, just to give you an idea of the quantum of the specimens, one trench area yielded about 30,000 artifacts. 20,000 plus are represented by debitage, 8,000 plus represented by worked flakes, and 1,700 plus are represented by formal tools. So you can see the proportions vary significantly, and it's dominated by microlithic evidence, but it also has other elements. Here we have the excavation plan form of different trenches. And some trenches are shallow, and some trenches are deeper, meaning the bottom of the cave, the bedrock is uneven. Some places it looks like the ceiling has collapsed as well. Here again we have plan views. And artifacts occur continuously throughout. There are no gaps. Here we have excavation going on. You can see a lot of debris is there on the surface. So we have colluvial processes taking place. We have things coming in from outside in the cave entrance, things falling from the ceiling. So various processes are resulting in this accumulation of debris, sediments, artifacts. Here's a close-up of one of the trenches. And we have also collected OSL samples, and we have sent them to a lab abroad for processing, and I'll talk about the implications. You can see bedrock chunks indicating collapsed ceiling in some of the trenches. And now coming to the archaeology, we have two kinds of artifact types. One is microlithic and one is macrolithic. So I will call it microlithic versus Paleolithic. But the Paleolithic evidence is not very diagnostic. We don't have formal types. We have things like hammerstones, core scrapers, choppers, flakes, flake scrapers, anvils, and interestingly we also have blade elements or blade flakes, and we also have fluted points. And when I say fluted, I mean it in a very simple and like a very casual manner, not like the fluted points you get in North America, for example. So these are just some examples of materials found in the cave floor and outside. These are some core scrapers, cores, choppers found outside the cave. Here we have a pointed flake, maybe even used as a point, but also qualifies as a flake scraper. And this is an example of the tanged and fluted point that we are getting, made in a very simple manner, found outside the cave. We are still in the process of analyzing all these artifacts, but we'll get a better idea of the chronological relationship. At the moment, the Paleolithic material and the microlithic material is occurring together. So as far as I know from literature, in Indian literature, this is the first time that we have a long sequence of Paleolithic material and microlithic material occurring together and being adapted. The raw material source for the quartzite seems to be about 2 kilometers away. So we have quartzite cobbles occurring in the stream bed. And a lot of this material is also has been transported on the landscape. Here's some close-up of the microliths, and there's a major absence of geometric types. It is dominated by non-geometric microliths. So that is also interesting. Now just coming to the conclusions, we have adaptation to unique ecology and climate Konkan zone is very high in biodiversity. It has unique ecology, unique vegetation. The topographic landscape is different as well from rest of peninsular India, central India. It probably represented seasonal occupation, and we are looking into this based on high-resolution dating of all the layers and analyzing possible abandonment events as well. The lithic elements suggest heavy-duty microlithic artifacts on quartzite, and then non-geometric microliths on quartz. And quartz is available on the landscape abundantly everywhere. All are in surface context or buried context at various depths. And so far in one trench, we have gone down 1.5 meters. In another trench, we have gone down about 1 meter. So we still have the excavations to complete. So we're trying to understand that. And the tang points suggest hunting of small to medium-sized animals through projectile technology. Either small spears, and the microliths might represent bow and arrow technology, because they're usually associated with bows and arrows in the old world. And finally, we have preliminary information from the OSL ages that, based on dose rate information, that they are definitely, the oldest layers are definitely older than Holocene. We don't have exact numbers yet, but we should get them in the next few months. But it is late Pleistocene in age, which is interesting. So we're looking at maybe unique adaptation of two different technologies, or maybe even a transition from later Paleolithic to microlithic over time. We're still working out the proportions and frequencies of different artifact types, raw material types, in assemblage compositions. And thank you for your attention.
Along with it, you get some other material. I don't think you should say that it's Paleolithic along with microliths. It's a assemblage which has microliths. It's not exclusively microliths, like many of the probably later ones are.
Right.
But this has been reported from Orissa by both Pradeep Mohanty as well as by S.B. Ota, that they were getting choppers along with microliths from a number of, they were also not dated.
Yes.
So this is not something completely shocking.
So the thing about this site, which is so far new for Indian prehistory, is that the complete sequence is yielding that. And at the moment, there doesn't seem to be any change in frequency. It seems to be at least 1.5 meters of the same mixed assemblages.
I don't call it mixed. Unless you have, that's what I'm...
Mixed technologies, basically, one
and then
culture.
all the non-microlithic thing is also brought into the cave.
Correct.
It's also all, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So this is, I really think it is very interesting. And good.
Say that these non-microlithic bigger artifacts, they might have been on the surface.
Right.
Outside the cave.
So
and
some we have evidence of.
Microliths people might have brought it inside. That could be one.
We have debitage also from quartzite.
Of this quartzite.
But not much.
So maybe they have reused it or something.
It can be combination. They can be bringing from outside and making inside. Both of.
I would hope that maybe whatever is found outside might be actually brought, might have been in the cave and taken out by some recent people.
Right. But the numbers are very high at the moment. Yeah.
So only the thing is that this tang element hasn't come in the excavation.
Surface, yeah.
So if it is in the excavation, then it's lower than what you have.
Right. Right.
Which is very...
So far surface.
So anyway, I don't think there's any reason to say that these are not contemporary to each other. It's one assemblage that has both these things.
I agree.
So there is no need of, so don't use confusing terminology and let other people start to make these questions. People, it's very deep, they've gone far enough down that it's not that the quartzite component could have been brought in from somewhere, some other context at the site itself. So the dates will be interesting, the tool descriptions, analysis will be description. It just shows how little we know, how many gaps we have. Yes. But those gaps are there. So
yes, ma'am.
There is nothing very difficult to believe that this is some part of it.
It's very interesting. I think, Parth, did you find any small piece or anything that sealing material in the
Yeah, the
excavation?
fragments are there.
Fragments are
but
there.
But no manipulation of those fragments.
Okay.
No archaeological.
And then how you are going to interpret that throughout your 1 meter or 1.5 meter, you are getting microliths throughout?
Yes.
There is no layer as such?
At the moment, there is no distinct layer. It's continuous.
No, but how you are going to interpret it?
So just continuous occupation, I think.
Continuous occupation.
Or continuous accumulation.
Yeah.
Accumulation.
Because we are trying to make sure that we don't have homogeneous interpretation for the cave based on different trenches. We're looking at each trench as a different context. We don't want to generalize about the cave. And we're also using GCMS to get biomarker evidence, and we're planning to also collect sediments for environmental DNA as well.
I think we have more questions after you have more data. So let's wait.
Yeah.
Sediment is artifacts is fine, but what deposit is sediment?
So we only know from the OSL preparation that based on that and based on grain size analysis, they're saying that it's silty. So earlier during excavations, I thought that most of the sedimentation is happening from the ceiling. A lot of things fracturing and breaking up. But a lot of laterite won't have the right components for OSL dating. So a lot of the sediments that are accumulating are coming from outside the cave on the landscape. So quartz, basically. No. There's no drainage nearby. It's just a plateau.
No, maybe some rainwater gullies
Possibly.
post that ceiling was
Yeah.
fallen. After that, maybe some rainwater gullies.
Any kind of sedimentary structures on the
What structure?
sediment structure?
No. Yeah, it's very homogeneous. There's no layering. The only difference is if sometimes a layer is more compact and one is less compact because of bioturbation. But otherwise, there's no distinct layering.
No color difference.
No,
Also.
not a major color difference. It's all homogeneous.
Somewhere I think you got some brownish kind of, and
Yeah.
rest of the thing is reddish.
Yes.
That difference is there. So
Yeah.
maybe
Some purple, brown, and then reddish.
different process could be.
This cave has formed because some layer is more resistant to erosion.
In the cave, in the bedrock of the cave, there's a,
The process for the cave to form.
right. So there's no in the actual wall of the cave. There's nothing like that visible. It's all homogeneous again.
Is it a karstic cave?
It seems
It's in laterite.
it's in laterite.
Because
But-
same Susurundi is also
Yeah.
in laterite, but they are calling it as a karstic cave.
And there are many other caves like this in Konkan.
So I think that also you have to look for that, how
Yeah.
it must have formed.
Right.
My understanding is the laterite profile, the crust is hard, and then the lower part is
Yeah,
soft.
lithomerge.
So something below gets eroded before the thing on the top.
Yeah.
And then you get, this is my understanding, but
And it would be actually useful for us if you can visit the site during next season of excavations and give some feedback and interpretations.
So have you measured the thickness of the walls which are remained, the cave walls, natural walls?
The natural walls?
Thickness total,
No.
natural walls?
No.
Just try.
Right.
Because in Susurundi, their laterite thickness is really very
So you mean basically the thickness of ceiling, you mean?
सीलिंग में वॉल्स जो बचे हैं उसमें अंदर आप जाते हो
Right.
तो जो वॉल्स है ना वो
Right.
कितनी थिक है
Between different chambers?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That seems to be about half a meter. at
half a
least.
meter.
Yeah.
I think there it is more than 1.5 meters.
Okay.
It's quite thick. Anyway, it's very good cave excavation. It's really different. So thank you for keeping the time also. Thanks.